using the Hemingway app to make writing more accessible. So here I am on the Hemingway app. I got here by typing in hemingwayapp.com. This is a really cool free app that's available online, and it can help you to really focus in on making your writing way more accessible for many, many folks. Makes it great if you're making something for translation, or even if you just want to make sure that it's going to be understood by a wide variety of folks who are going to be reading it. So there's some sample text that they put in here already. And the sample text that they have, as you can see, there's different colors, there's different highlighting here. And it gives you some tips. So over here on the right-hand side, it says it's readability level of grade 6. There's 133 words in total. You can click on Show More, and it'll actually tell you it should take roughly 31 seconds to read. It tells you the number of letters, characters, words, sentences, and paragraphs, which is kind of cool. It's just a really neat breakdown of the text. Now, the blue here is all of the adverbs. So you really want to cut down on the number of adverbs that we're putting into our texts to make it just more plain language, to make it more accessible. So there's 2 adverbs in here, and their suggestion, if you click on here or if you hover over it, it'll say, adverb, use a forceful verb instead. So you can omit it. That's one option, or you can choose a different word to put. And then for the word perhaps, they're like, well, maybe a qualifier there is be bold, don't hedge. So they give you some little tips. You can choose to take their tips or ignore them, whatever feels best for you and for your audience. Now in green, using passive voice is actually really tricky for folks to understand. And translating this document, it's going to make it a lot harder to translate. So try to avoid the passive voice and use active voice whenever possible. Using active voice means that the subject performs the action instead of receiving the action. For example, it's easier to say, the cat ate the food, rather than the food was eaten by the cat. Right here, it says one phrase has a simpler alternative. Now, if I look at this word utilize, well, I know what that means. However, it's not a word that is considered plain language. So it's a complex word. So you might want to replace it with a different word, such as use. So instead of saying you can utilize a shorter word in place of a purple one, you can say you can use a shorter word in place of a purple one. Over here, 1 out of 11 sentences is hard to read. Now, that's because lengthy, complex sentences are really tricky. Once you start getting a variety of punctuation forms in a sentence and you have a sentence with many ideas instead of just one idea at a time, it does become very hard to understand for lots of folks, and it makes it way harder to translate. So if you can make your sentences a little simpler, a little shorter, it'll go a long way. If you see a red highlight, your sentence is so dense and complicated that your readers will get lost trying to follow its meandering, splitting logic. Try editing this sentence to remove the red. Yes, so that's kind of fun. So you can kind of play with it with using their sample, which is a great thing. Or if you want, you can delete the words that are there. And then you can add in any text that you wish. So you can type or cut and paste anything in here from a resource that you're working on to test out the readability, to test out whether or not this is going to be something that's easily understood by a large number of people, or whether you might need to edit it.